Well, hello again everybody, and thanks for coming back to the channel. I am Fist-25, one half of Fisting Jawa Save the Universe, and in this video we are going to go over ReShade for Star Citizen 4.0. It's been a hot minute since I've done a ReShade video, and to be honest with you, not much has changed in quite a few patches. I get a lot of questions on Discord and in YouTube comments asking if ReShade is different in 4.0. The answer is emphatically no. Presets and filters we provide free of charge, I might add, still work very well, and I have yet to see a version of ReShade that isn't compatible with Star Citizen, even as the application periodically updates. But nevertheless, I want to make a new video for some of the newer players to Star Citizen and showcase some of the features that ReShade offers to your playing experience. First, we will view all of the ReShade standard dynamic range, or SDR presets, that the B team has available to showcase what ReShade can do for your experience. Next, we will go over uninstallation, installation, and troubleshooting tips, and when to ask for help. And lastly, we will briefly go over high dynamic range, or HDR presets. So before I go ahead and roll the intro, I do ask that if you have used this video to help with your experience in Star Citizen, that you share it with your friends, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. JawaSparky and I have a huge backlog of videos with a review on almost every single ship in the game, as well as various other tutorials and guides. Feel free to look around the channel, and if you're interested in supporting our channel, please feel free to leave a super chat donation or become a YouTube or Twitch channel member and help us keep the lights on in our hangars. Remember that we stream live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain on YouTube and Twitch, and every Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain on Twitch. Thank you for your patronage, and on with the show. There are 4 main presets for ReShade. Well, technically 5 if you count ReShade being off, which we will show you the difference between them all. Those presets are HDR Plus, NVG, Infrared, and the SDR Dilute presets that were made by Kai Guy and Dilute Wings, but I will call them SDR for short. They've also made HDR presets available, which we will discuss at the last chapter of the video. So let's start with HDR Plus 2, which is my favorite regular preset and my default starting preset for Star Citizen. In fact, I have it on right now. Here we can see that for SDR monitors or SDR gameplay, the HDR Plus 2 preset simulates HDR mode as best it can by making the dark colors darker and the white colors wider. Star Citizen is an absolutely beautiful game, but by default it is saturated with a gamma, washed out colors. HDR Plus 2.0 fixes all of this and makes the verse much more immersive. This mode, however, will still make the dark areas of the verse, like the dark side of a planet or asteroids on the dark side of Jawa, very, very dark, which is where our next filter comes into play. NVG mode is exactly what it sounds like. It is a green tint that brightens up your screen, revealing the dark areas like you put on a pair of NVG goggles. Some call these light amplification modes cheating, but CIG specifically whitelists ReShade with easy anti-cheat. So if the developers don't think this is cheating, I certainly don't. A few years ago, ReShade was able to have a true infrared effect where it dug into the frame buffer and revealed targets that were behind cover. It no longer does that, and it can't do that as a function is blocked by CIG. Its only purpose now is as a color and brightness enhancer or dehancer, depending on the situation. Using NVG mode will allow you to see the terrain of a planet or a moon that you're flying on, or avoid those dark asteroids while making your way to the target. If the game is too bright in some areas, there are some darken filters as well that can darken up your experience so you can actually see. Okay, now we're on to infrared mode, which is just like the NVG mode, except without the green tint. Turns the screen into a black and white image that simulates infrared without actually seeing heat signatures. It is an alternative to the NVG mode, and to be honest, I don't use it that much, but it is an option if you want to use it. This can add some realism and some other cool effects into the game, or if you just don't like the green tint of NVG mode and you prefer more of a black and white look, then this is a preset or a filter that is custom designed just for you. All right, so the SDR presets are varied, and there are more than one of them. These were developed by KaiGuy and Dilute Wings, some members and former members of the B team. They range from the SDR 03 dark shades, which enhances the brightness of the game, and they get progressively brighter until we get the SDR 08 night vision RGB mode. This mode is like NVG, but it keeps the RGB aspect of the image as intact as possible. It allows for a more futuristic NVG mode of the 30th century. I prefer this mode when I need to use night vision, and it's been showcased in many of my videos. Past SDR 08 is SDR 09, the night vision black and white mode, which is the Dilute preset for infrared mode, and SDR 10 night vision mode, or the night vision green mode, which simulates the SDR or Dilute preset for the green NVG mode. So as you can see, there are many different modes of ReShade to choose from, and the beauty of this application is it's free to use, free to download, and it's pretty easy to install and set up. Speaking of setting up ReShade, let's cut back to my real life in my studio, and we can go through how to uninstall, install, configure, and troubleshoot ReShade. All right, everybody. So here we are at the section where we're going to do an uninstall, we're going to do an install, and do some troubleshooting steps, basically. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to uninstall ReShade. I already have it installed, so this is the uninstall portion. First off, you need to go wherever you have Star Citizen folders. Mine just happens to be on my Z drive under Program Files, Robert Space Industries, and then Star Citizen. I have 3 different folders of games, the live, EPTU, and 4.0 preview. So we're going to work with the 4.0 preview right now. So we're going to go into this folder, and you can see it's all the normal Star Citizen stuff, but what we really care about is bin 64. So we're going to go into bin 64, and I'm just going to show you that there are some ReShade files in here. One is ReShade INI, ReShade.log, and ReShade preset.ini. Those are the main files for ReShade itself. The other folders that are in here are ReShade-shaders, and this is stuff that ReShade installs. And you go through the install and textures. Under ReShade presets, that is all the presets. This is where we put the presets. You can call this file, this folder, excuse me, anything you want, but I have a bunch of presets in here. I don't have any HDR presets in here because I'm not playing in HDR right now. But you can label them whatever you want. If you number them, they will actually come up numbered. So you can scroll through them faster when you're trying to go from one setting to another in the game. So how do we uninstall? Well, it's pretty easy. We're going to do 2 things. We're going to go to this bin 64. We're going to hit delete. Boom. And that's going into the trash. And just for S's and giggles, we're going to delete Easy Anti-Cheat as well. You need administrator permissions? Fine. Easy Anti-Cheat, gone. Bin 64, gone. Boom. Out of 4.0 preview, gone. So how do we get them back? Well, let me stick this folder over here. Let me bring up the Star Citizen launcher, and we're going to go from the launcher here. We're going to click the cogwheel. We're going to go to verify game files. Star Citizen's then going to check the manifest of what files should be there, and it's going to go ahead and download the files it needs, and boom, it's done. So we can close that. We want to go ahead and close our launcher down. And look, we're back in our folder. Here's bin64 again and Easy Anti-Cheat. They're both here. Everything downloading just fine. In bin64, you'll notice there's no ReShade INI. There's no ReShade anything in there. There's also no ReShade shaders or presets folders, but everything else is there straight from CIG. So that's the easy part, right? That's the uninstall. So now let's do the install. How do we install ReShade? Okay, so to install ReShade, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into a website called reshade.me. Link should be in the description below, or it's on the Discord. Under reshade.me, you're going to get this rainbow and you're going to get all kinds of stuff. Don't click the green button. Don't do that. That is for an extension. That's like an ad. You don't want to do that. You can scroll down. Don't click the red button. You can either come up here at the very top and click the purple button, or come down to the bottom where it says download ReShade 6.3.3. That is the easiest way to do it. You don't need full add-on support. You just need the basic ReShade. So we're going to click download ReShade 6.3.3. There we go. I had to click it again for some reason. Okay, so ReShade 6.3.3 is there. I've downloaded it twice. So here it is. It's in my download folder. You may have to tell Chrome or whatever browser you use, hey, this is what I'm using here. Or this is a okay file to have. But regardless of that, that's where it's at. We're going to close the ReShade website off the browser. We're going to go ahead and double click ReShade setup. And we are going to close that file folder. So here ReShade is, and it's going to start listing a bunch of different games that you can install ReShade to, like Baldur's Gate 3 and Aliens and Call of Duty and all these other games, right? Star Citizen is not going to be in any of those. So don't sit here and wait for Star Citizen to show up. It's not going to show up until the game actually releases. Instead, you're going to click the browse button on the bottom right. So I'm going to click browse and it pulls up a folder list, right? It's going to start with my downloads folder. That was the last folder I was in. And I'm going to navigate to my Star Citizen folder. So for me, that is my Z drive. It could be your C drive or something like that. Program files, Rubber Space Industry, Star Citizen. Then you're going to have to pick the folder you want to install ReShade to. I have 3 different installs of Star Citizen. I have the 4.0 preview, the EPTU, and live. You do have to install ReShade separately for each Star Citizen install for it to work. So if you put it on live and you didn't put it on the PTU and you're like, I don't have ReShade in the PTU. Well, that's because you didn't install it in the PTU. Believe me, those questions have been asked many times, and make sure you install it in the right folder. So we're going to pick 4.0 preview because that's what we're going to go into when we test it. You can see on the very bottom, it says Star Citizen Launcher.exe. That's not what you want. That is the actual launcher. That is this guy. That's not what you want. You want to go to bin64. Under bin64, you're going to find Star Citizen.exe, the executable itself. You're going to single click that so it's highlighted under file name, and then you're going to click open. And that's it. It puts the path into the ReShade setup. And then you're going to click next. Here's an important part, so don't mess this up. If you use Vulkan in Star Citizen, it doesn't matter. Do not click Vulkan. As of right now in 4.0 preview and prior versions 324.3, still DirectX 10, 11, 12, specifically 11, but it is DirectX 11. Don't hit 9, OpenGL, Vulkan, or OpenXR. It is DirectX 11. It's the only way this is going to work. It's already default highlighted for DirectX 11. You just leave it there and click next. Now you get to pick what effects go in there. So you can see you have standard effects and suite effects. That is technically all you need. Some of the HDR shaders and some of the other shaders can use some of the other effects. You're going to have to check out the 3.22 video for that one. And there's a ton of effects. You can actually install whatever you want in here. Those effects that come with the SDR and the HDR shaders are actually already bundled into the download for them, so you don't need to download them here. The only thing you need to download here is Standard Effects and Sweet FX. You don't actually have to select anything. It's really easy. Just click next. And boom, it's done. It's actually installed. It's all finished. And now we're going to hit finish. If you want to become a patron of theirs, feel free to become a patron. Now I'm going to open up a file folder wherever this decides to open. There it is. Okay, so 4.0 preview. Now we're going to see we have bin 64. Nothing else changed in here. As we go down, we see ReShade Shaders is now there. And if we come down, we'll see ReShade INI, ReShade.log, and ReShade Preset.ini. We need to create a new folder in here where we're going to put our presets. We don't have to. We can put them wherever we want. We can even put them in this folder, but I like to have them in a separate folder. So I'm going to right click in here. I'm going to click new. I'm going to click folder. Admin privileges. Yep. I'm going to call them ReShade Presets. Refresh my screen. So now I have my own folder just for the presets. And in this folder, that's where I'm going to put all the presets. Speaking of presets, let's head over to Discord and check out where the presets are kept. Stand by. Okay, we are here at the B Team Discord, and the link is in the description below. The link does work. If it's not working for you, you probably have some kind of a blocker or something like that on your computer. There's thousands of people who have been to this Discord. And this is where we keep the files. And yes, it's a shameless plug for our Discord. Come to our Discord, hang out, say hello, say thank you, say F you, say whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, but this is where we keep the files. This is where everybody gets the files. If you're going to use my presets, if you're not going to use my presets, then get them somewhere else. I really don't care, but this is how we do it. So please, you know, you're going to end up in I think it's the welcome screen, or you're going to end up in you're going to end up in start here. Actually, if you end up here and start here, welcome to the B team. You don't need to access, you don't need to click on any of these things to access the ReShade itself. But if you want access to the rest of the Discord, like the B team streaming, Java with Jawa, some of the other stuff, some of the other games we play, things like that, you can, there's a guide here and it'll tell you which icon to click on and it'll open up the Discord to you. There's all kinds of rooms in here with voice comms and things like that. But if you just want ReShade, scroll down on the left here under the categories, I guess under the overarching channels, and there's a thing that says ReShade controls and configs. Under here, there's all kinds of different things, but ReShade is one of them. So this is the version that is currently up there right now, and it's current as of May, because nothing's really changed since May. I am going to update this, so when you come here, it'll actually say something like December 28th or December 29th, and it'll look a little bit different, but it'll pretty much look the same, but the date may say December up here. And the dates in here would probably say December. But it's still all the same thing. So in here, it kind of gives you brief instructions. This was made all the way back in ReShade 6.1.1. It's now 6.3.3. This takes you to the ReShade homepage. So you can download ReShade if you forgot the address, the URL. It also has two files to download: ReShade 3.23 bteam zip and the ReShade setup, but that was for 6.1.1. I will put 6.3.3 in here if you don't want to go to the ReShade website to download that. If you scroll up a little bit, there's also legacy ReShade SDR presets in here as well. We're going to go over these real quick. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on these to download them. As I highlight this guy, there's a little download button. It does push it over to your browser, whatever your default browser is, and that's fine. You just make sure that you're able to download things like files in your browser. It's going to say, hey, potential dangerous download. If you don't want to download it, don't. You're not getting the presets any other way. I'm not putting them on a Google Drive. I'm not putting them on a Dropbox. This is where they are. This is how you get them. Continue to download. I'm going to do that. And over here, I know you can't see it on the screen, but it downloaded the 4th version of the ReShade presets. I'm also going to go up here and download the legacy presets just to show you what they are. Okay, and that's actually it for ReShade. On the Discord, you can now go, and we're going to move this window over to a different monitor, and boom, just like that, and we're now back in the Star Citizen folder. I'm going to bring up another folder here, and I'm going to go to my downloads. There we go. So you see the ReShade B-Team, the 4th version of it downloaded, and the SDR presets. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into ReShade 3.23. That'll probably be renamed ReShade 4.0 when you do this. But double click in here. So you can see all of the presets are in here. The SDR presets are in here, the legacy SDR shaders, the HDR OLED ones, the HDR LCD ones, and Bin64 has stuff in it too. So if you're going to do the HDR shaders, and honestly, if you're going to do the Kailut SDR shaders, then you need to open up Bin64. In here, there's a ReShade shaders folder, and under there is shaders. If I bring up my game directory and I go into the same folder, ReShade shaders, and under shaders, we are going to see there's a bunch of shaders for the game, and there's a bunch of shaders in this folder. The stuff in this folder should overwrite anything that's in that folder, and there's going to be some files that are not in there. For instance, Advanced Auto HDR, that is not in the one that comes with the game. Color FXH, Color Matrix FX, these are all actually text files. You can actually open them up and view them if you want. They're literally just text files that tells ReShade how to do things. But you're going to want to highlight all these files, drag them over, copy them, replace, and then do this for all your items, do your admin controls. Bam. So now I've replaced 3 files, and I added 2 files, Advanced Auto HDR and Color. So that's step 1. Now we're going to come back to the zip file, and we're going to go back in the game folder and go to the presets. Under the presets, you get to figure out which presets you want. You actually have quite a few options to choose from. If you have HDR, stay tuned to the HDR section at the end. Really, I'm going to bump you over to 3.22 video where I go into HDR in much more depth, because it's kind of a pain to do HDR. But if you want those shaders, grab them. If you don't play in HDR, do not grab them. You don't need them. They will work, but they are designed for HDR. So I'm going to grab 2 different types of shaders, the legacy and the SDR. First up, from the legacy, you'll see there's HDR plus 2. That's my main one. Night Vision 2, Infrared 2, and Darken. Then there's the original ReShade shader, HDR plus, Night Vision, and Infrared. Those are the legacy shaders. You don't need them. If you want them, grab them. If you just want to see what they're like, do they work better for you? Are they better for your screen? Whatever. Grab them if you want them. I don't want them. But I am going to grab HDR plus through Darken. I'm going to drag them over to our ReShade presets folder that we created earlier. Boom, copied them over. Now the SDR, I went up a folder in the zip file, and I'm going to go into the SDR folder. So in here, there's dark shades, light shades, normal, boost, night vision RGB, night vision black and white, night vision green. I'm going to grab all of these, and I'm going to drag them all into our game presets folder. So now I have all these presets in here. Going back to the zip file, that's really all I need. If you go to the OLED, you'll see there's HDR, and there's HDR for the LCD. There is a difference. That's it. I just installed ReShade, and I've installed all the presets. If we go back to the download real quick and look at the SDR presets, the legacy stuff, it is just HDR plus 2, night vision, infrared, darken, all, and the legacy ones. You don't need to copy over the new shaders that is in the other zip file just to use these. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't add, it doesn't subtract. They're really just for the Kailut SDR or HDR presets. So we can close the zip file now. We can see that in bin 64 ReShade presets, we have all of our presets here. If you want to change something around, like to make them go in order, like I like my NVG to go before my night vision 2. So I would maybe change the number on this to be 001-SDR. And that is I'm gonna continue. So if we sort this, now it's HDR plus 2, then MV, night vision, RGB. And the way it'll work in ReShade is when you cycle through your presets, it'll go in order of these files. So that's why I put them with numbers. And we'll see that when we get in game. So speaking of the game, let's load up the game. I'm gonna cut to when we're there and we can configure ReShade. All right, so we're now in the game and we can see up at the top, it says ReShade 6.3.3. That might be a little hard for you to see. I will zoom in a minute. We can see that ReShade is not on in the game right now either. So this is ReShade off right now. We're going to have to pick a preset before it'll actually turn on. But up here, it does say ReShade's now installed successfully. Press home to start the tutorial. If you want a tutorial on ReShade, click home and you can do the tutorial. You don't need it. I'm kind of going to give you a tutorial right here. We're going to click home anyway, and boom, we're going to open up the configuration screen for ReShade. I'm going to skip the tutorial. If you want to do it, go ahead. Okay, so we skipped the tutorial in here. And now you see there's a bunch of shaders up here that nothing's clicked, right? This is everything that's in that ReShade shaders folder. We're gonna load our presets that use these things and tweak these things for what we need. Okay, so from this basic folder right here, this basic screen where it says ReShade preset, don't click the folder to the right. You're gonna click where it says ReShade preset itself. As you click that, a folder structure will come up. And it already knows we're in bin 64 because that's where we installed ReShade. So where did we install the presets? Well, whatever folder, wherever you put them is where we installed them. I installed them in ReShade presets, so I'm going to double click that folder and all the presets show up. First thing I'm going to click is HDR plus 2.ini, and I'm going to hit select. As I hit select, if you can see the screen, if I have it zoomed out, you'll see everything darkened up immediately. We can also scroll through the different presets. Okay, let me scroll through them. I'm going to use the left and right button up here right now. So that's RGB, night vision. There's green night vision, infrared. So that's one way to scroll through them. But we're going to go back to HDR2, and then we're going to click on the settings button in the top right. From here, now we're actually going to configure ReShade. So what's the first things you see? You see overlay key. So the first thing I'd like to do is I don't like to keep mine on home because I use home for the camera in Star Citizen. All you got to do to change that keybind is click inside there and then hit your keys. I like Alt plus home. I hit those together on my keyboard and it changes to Alt home. If I want to change my effect, meaning turn ReShade off and on, click in the effect toggle key area, and I like to use Alt scroll lock to turn ReShade on and off. I don't use effect reload or performance mode, but I do use next and previous preset key. So for my next key, I use Alt page down, and for my previous preset key, I use Alt page up. As you can see, those are all filled in now, and I can sit here and hit Alt page up and page down, and it'll cycle through the filters or the presets in the game. Okay, the startup preset, that is an option. I like to start with HDR plus 2 as my default. You don't have to set that. but I like to set it. What's some other things in here? Do not mess with your effects search path or your texture search path. If for some reason you did mess with it, you need to change your effect search path to the ReShade shaders folder, and your texture search path to ReShade shaders textures. Okay, for screenshot key, yes, you can use print screen. I don't like to use print screen because Star Citizen doesn't play well with print screen because that's its default screenshot key. ReShade does take its own screenshots in the preset mode. So I like to click that. I like to change mine to Alt print screen. That way I know ReShade is taking the screenshot. If you're going to change your key, you might as well change your path. So I'm going to change my path, clicking on the folder. I'm going to go 2 dots to go back a directory, and it's in 4.0 preview, and I'm going to choose screenshots as my folder and hit select. So now I know it's going to save it into 4.0 preview / screenshots. As far as all the buttons on here, that's up to you. If you want to clear your alpha channel, save before and after images, things like that. I usually don't. If we go down a little bit, we'll see it says show screenshot message. I turn that off because I don't want to see it every time I do a screenshot to know it did. But sometimes I keep it on just to know, hey, I did actually do a screenshot. And then if you want it to tell you when you transition from one preset to another, what preset you went to, then you need to make sure show preset transition message is on. Otherwise, you can just transition in between them and stay on what you like. But I like to know which one I'm on. And that's basically it for messing around with ReShade. There are some other things you can do. You can mess with your individual settings. So if you have a shader that's up, like I have HDR +2 up right now, you can come down in here and you can start to mess around with the text size, positioning, things like that. From your home screen, you can drag this guy up and you can start to edit your preprocessor definitions in here, which means you're going to start to mess around with that filter. You can always delete the filter or preset and reinstall one from scratch from the Discord if you mess it up, but you can start messing with it, changing things, messing with the colors, the black points, the white points, everything like that. All this stuff is actually tuned for what I like and what most people like. And so I don't mess with it, but if you want to tweak ReShade just for you, then this is what you do. To close this menu, we hit Alt Home, and now we see the Star Citizen screen behind us. I can cycle through the presets, like if I hit Alt and page down, now we're in MV Night Vision RGB, Night Vision Green, Infrared 2, we're in Dark at SDR mode, dark shades, light shades, normal, boost, night vision black and white, night vision green with film grain, and then back to HDR +2, my default one. So that's basically it, guys. That is installing ReShade. All right, guys, so some of the questions I get when it comes to ReShade and it not working real great, we try to help troubleshoot on the B Team Discord as much as possible. Some of the questions I get when people have issues with ReShade do involve different solutions. First and foremost, make sure you are installing ReShade with the DX11 option. Just because the game has a kind of rudimentary implementation of Vulkan does not mean the Vulkan install works with ReShade itself. Vulkan's not fully implemented because it doesn't have multi-threaded processing and all that stuff. Anyway, I don't even know if it's going to work in the future under Vulkan or not. We'll see. And when we get there, then we'll make the video for that. Star Citizen can be finicky sometimes, and so can easy anti-cheat. So What I recommend for 99% of the time, if you have an issue with ReShade not working or something like that, that you pull up your Star Citizen folder, you go into whatever, you know, version of the game you're running, whether it's PTU or live or whatever, and you delete your bin64 folder and your easy anti-cheat folder. Delete them, gone, erase them, and then go back into the launcher, verify files, re-download them, and then reinstall ReShade from the website or from my Discord, and then reinstall the presets just like I showed just a minute ago in the video. Go back to that chapter and hopefully ReShade will be working again. Feel free to go back to that chapter and watch it again if you need to. And another thing, ensure you are installing ReShade in the correct folder. PTU, ePTU, 4.0 Tech Preview, whatever it is. Each environment has its own executable file, and ReShade has to be tied to that file that's in the bin64 folder. If that doesn't work, you may have an issue with your graphics card driver or your antivirus or another problem that is individual to your PC. Many of the BT members on my Discord are more than happy to help you work through ReShade issues if you ask politely and you have tried the troubleshooting tips in this video. I've literally had thousands of people come to the Discord and install ReShade and have it working properly. So if it doesn't work on your rig, it's a problem with your system and your setup and your software and things like that. So it's highly doubtful that there's an issue with the ReShade presets or the ReShade file itself. But you can always go back on the ReShade website and get previous versions of ReShade as well. So that is an option for you. And that concludes troubleshooting. So here we are at the HDR mode section. And if you're here but don't care about HDR, feel free to skip to the next chapter. And that is the conclusion of the video. If you're interested in HDR, please stay tuned. As you may have noticed, none of this video was filmed in HDR, and there are many reasons for that. One is that I don't love the H.265 codec, and I don't personally play in HDR most of the time. So it's also a pain to set up OBS to record in HDR and then encode it in Premiere Pro and get YouTube to take it and things like that. So please take this section here with a grain of salt. For HDR, I have a much more complete guide to an HDR install video in the 3.22 ReShade video. So I'll link it in the description below, and you can just skip to the HDR part of that video. It has chapter markers in it. What I can tell you is that we do have HDR filters as part of the ReShade presets, but they haven't been updated in well over a year. Star Citizen does change each patch, and it colors things a little bit differently with each patch as well. So if you want to tweak your colors, you can do that in game using bringing up those HDR presets and tweaking the colors and the gamma and all that stuff to your liking. Make sure your monitor has HDR capabilities and that you have HDR turned on from Windows. You may not have HDR, and you may not, Windows will tell you if you have HDR. You have to have a monitor that has it. And to be honest, it's fine playing in HDR. There's kind of different versions of monitors with different levels of dynamic range that go really deep in black and go really nice in white, and every monitor is a little bit different, and Windows handles things a little bit different. And then there's so many variables in HDR that it's kind of individual to your rig. So check out that 3.22 HDR guide. It even goes over how to capture screenshots, which is a pain in the butt because you have to use JXR files, and you can't get HDR screenshots with ReShade. You have to bring up Windows Game Bar or one of the NVIDIA or AMD screenshot tools to even capture HDR screenshots. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. But we all like to take screenshots to relive our HDR memories. So yeah, that's about it. Make sure to download the HDR presets if you're going to use HDR. You can also use the SDR presets. They're fine too. But there's no guarantee there won't be artifacts on your screen if you use them. So that concludes the HDR section. Well, citizens, that wraps up the ReShade video for 4.0. Hope you found it entertaining with this new format as well as informative. If you run into issues and you've tried the troubleshooting steps on this video, please feel free to hop over to the B Team Discord and post a comment in the public chat section, or type !ReShade for a quick macro on basic troubleshooting advice. If you need help beyond that, please DM me or one of the moderators in Discord for help. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please feel free to join us on stream as we get up to some shenanigans on a regular basis. Until next time, this is Fist-25, or Fisting Jawa, save the universe. Good night, Pyro.